the room. Green with writing smart contracts. Okay, I'm going there so I don't bother the rest. Okay, so well, this is, I don't know if I can do it here because, let me see if there's someone in this room. Okay, yeah, it's empty. So here I am. You can hear me, right? All good?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is the room for, calls at the block where our office is. Okay, so let me put this here. Okay. Oh, look at this. There is this really good book that I always recommend to.
Federico, we don't see you.
Can you see the screen?
We don't see you.
Okay, 1 second.
You have to activate your video. Now we see you.
Yeah, I don't know. It was activated, but this is a great book that if you haven't read it, very recommended. Have you read this, William?
I've read excerpts, but I haven't read the whole book. At some point, I probably should.
Good. Okay. Who is here? Let me see. Okay. News for this week. I guess that the person that deserves to do most of the talking this week is William, because he's a man of the moment in his work and his article that was just published yesterday on the debate between Nathan Schneider and Vitalik, and the role of crypto economics in governance and its limitations, its advantages and implications. So I will just let William introduce you all into the debate. And yeah, William, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I invite everybody to read that article that we recently tweeted. But the basic idea is responding to a couple of an article that was written by Nathan Schneider, who is a professor in Colorado, to which Vitalik made a blog post response like a little over a month ago, and both of them cite Kleros, and they both sort of talk about like what crypto economics can be expected to be capable of and what you can't really expect it to be capable of. So the sort of fundamental critique of Schneider's article is that crypto economics is very economic. It's all the structures that we use particularly for governance, which is his sort of main focus, also have sort of economic mechanisms in them. He quotes someone, Lane Reddick, I think, saying that crypto economics is just sort of economics like all the turtles all the way down to, it's just economic reasoning layered on top of economic reasoning layered on top of economic reasoning. And then he draws on sort of classical criticisms of overly economized structures to say that if you don't have sort of democratic, political, non-economic reasoning in your kind of institutions, then economics, it's powerful motivator for human beings, but it can also sort of motivate them in the wrong direction if it's sort of left unchained. And he particularly argues that there are lots of powerful things that motivate people that aren't economical, and good institutions might take those into account, like peer pressure, basically, and honor and sort of self-identity. And both of these, Schneider and also Vitalik, in his sort of response blog post, where he talks about sort of develops on Schneider's ideas to talk about sort of financialization in blockchain systems, and what institutions that don't have, his sort of viewpoint is that if you don't have built-in collusion resistance, then you're sort of intrinsically economical, you're intrinsically sort of financial, and how this sort of relates to these sort of what sort of hybrid institutions you can have by bringing in non-economic elements into sort of blockchain institutions. And anyway, both of these articles, they're both interesting articles. In addition to my article, I recommend you read the sort of source material. Schneider's article is kind of long; it's like 30 pages or something. Vitalik's is quite short. But they both cite Kleros as like an institution as an example for like a blockchain thing that in certain ways has kind of hybrid structures to it, has both economic elements, but also like kind of mirrors some sort of classical old world non-economical institutions. Kleros juries are in a sort of a financialized or an economically incentivized version of something that existed in political institutions of the past, and how one sort of like how these variants differ, like what it means that in these economic elements, what that allows you to do, what it limits you to do. Ultimately, the idea, the sort of thesis of Snyder that I agree with, is that by bringing in sort of non-economic political elements, you can build stronger structures. One sort of related point on this that I mentioned in my article is that we recently had this case upheld by the Mexican court where Kleros is put into sort of traditional arbitration for rental disputes, and there you have Kleros as a sort of crowdsourcing tool that can draw on its abilities of the blockchain to be sort of transparent and have clear economic incentives that can incentivize people that you don't necessarily trust to be altruistic, but you can give them good economic incentives, and they'll sort of produce good decisions most of the time through this sort of transparent process. And how you can put that into a larger institution that has sort of checks and balances and ultimately has a more robust whole. So that was sort of a meandering version of the article. It's better presented in the blog, but I'm happy to answer any questions for people. If people have them.
I like your version. At some point, you should make a presentation. I'm not going to ask you to make a presentation now because you already have lots of work with the workshop for the incubator. So, at some point, maybe in the future. I think it's very interesting about the composability of what Kleros can do. And I see Yamila is here, and Yamila, well, she's a lawyer, and she's going to be researching Kleros in the context of traditional arbitration and how this can interact or not interact with the traditional frameworks like your convention. And we were just discussing on the Telegram group, we could use also Kleros for full on metaverse, justice system. And there was an interview I had 5 or 6 years ago where I was saying that this was before Kleros. I mean, we need a justice system for the metaverse, or I think I said the virtual reality world, because most of our interactions are happening in VR worlds, and people were thinking I was a crazy guy babbling about that, but I think that this is becoming more and more clear, and especially since Zuckerberg announced the Meta and for Facebook. So I think that Kleros has this two-sided thing of one can be a tool that helps in traditional arbitration settings like the rental dispute that happened in Mexico, and that is at the moment is on the way to try to be replicated in different places, because this created a lot of buzz, especially in the legal tech industry, and people were like, what do you mean Kleros ruling accepted by the traditional court? Well, under some conditions and under some arbitration clauses, this is perfectly a tool that can be used to resolve a number of claims that happen in the mid world, if you want. And hopefully, after we can implement all of the improvements that we are planning with the Kleros 2.0, cheaper and probably faster than what exists now, right? So that's a really good thing, and the connection between the right arbitration clause and the right crypto economics plus the right scalability solutions will result in something that is cheaper than what exists, which is traditionally the role of technology. The role of technology is to make things cheaper over time, right? So that's another thing that's going on now. The development of Kleros 2.0. We are going to publish very soon an article that explains the specs in detail. So we just finished some time ago the last workshop of the team to decide what is going to be the architecture. This is, as you can imagine, really complex because no one has ever done this before. This involves lots of complex different elements. On the one side, all of the game theory and social choice improvements, which William has been working on since their very early days, and based on theoretical research, but also on the empirical findings that we had with real cases. We are approaching our case number 1,000 now, and so the goal is to have this Kleros 2.0 to build the infrastructure for scaling from 1,000 to 1 billion to the next 1 billion cases. So as you know, game theory and social choice theory, that is what is in the yellow paper that was already published, and I always share this presentation that William made at one community call in the past, where he explains our vision. So this is now being converted into smart contracts that will need to incorporate all this logic that is going to be in this new version of the code, like non-binary, etc. If you have questions, William can answer that. We always discuss this every week, so I don't want to be repetitive. So probably this or early next week, we will publish an article that explains what is exactly what we are building now. So that's another important thing. Another important thing going on this week, we finished the third workshop for the incubator. So the two teams that we are incubating now already have launched. They have made lots of progress with their strategy, and they're putting together their protocol. One of them, Reactions, which is tries to mix social and NFTs and for better curation and better discovery of NFTs. So they are now doing they already launched an alpha, and they want to interview users so they can understand better the user needs and the pain points and all that. So we tweeted this a couple of days ago. So if you feel like participating in this little survey, please help them. So because by helping them, you help Kleros as well. And that's another thing for this week. Then regarding business development, different conversations, in particular with insurance protocols. Nothing that we can make public now, but of course we will make things public when it's appropriate and we can do it. Many interviews of people for different positions at Kleros. We, as you know, we are recruiting for different positions, including development, front end, full stack, smart contracts, communications, business development, everything. So operations as well. So this is growing quite fast. And if you know people who will want to join the team, please send them our way. So we have that. Then I spent also lot of time this week interviewing candidates for the fellowship program. As you know, this is a 5th batch of the fellowship, we do this twice a year, and this brings people who want to research different aspects of Kleros, and we got different applications from people who want to research like very cool stuff, like how Kleros can be used for NFT duration, how Kleros can be used. And the good thing about the fellowship is that there are very different like topics depending on the interest of candidates. I mean, we have candidates who want to use Kleros into the context of how to use it in Venezuela, where they don't really have a working justice system, so they need some solution to make transactions, like some private alternative solution to non-functioning state infrastructure. So that also, others are also trying to work on NFTs. In particular, one of the candidates, it's a lawyer and professional musician that wants to use Kleros in like NFTs, but in the context of music, the music industry, like how to verify if some song was plagiarized or not. So this has lots of complexities that you need to understand about how to make this assessment. So one of the candidates is working on that. So now we are interviewing the candidates, and they are presenting their full proposal. So if you still want to participate, you can. It's still open, like for maybe 1 more week. So you can send your application. And then we have, let me think. I don't know. I think that's more or less what's going on this week. So about the incubator, then the teams are going to continue on their path. I mean, working with Plinio on the user experience of the products, with Clement on smart contracts. They're going to work with William on the mechanism design. And both teams are great, and so we are really excited what they are building. And I think that's more or less it. I don't know, maybe William or Annabelle, I might be forgetting something.
Not in my opinion.
Good. Okay, so guys, if you have any question, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah.
Calls are very nice on Telegram, aren't they? Do you guys like it here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Do you like doing this on Telegram? Because some people say that they prefer Zoom because I don't know, but we were thinking that maybe doing it sometimes on Telegram and sometimes on Zoom. I don't know. What do you think? Okay. Yeah, what do you say?
Yeah, I think both are fine. The good thing about Telegram is that it gives like an alarm then when the call starts, so it's very convenient. I don't know.
Yeah, good point. Like what we know is that Discord didn't work for anyone. Like that was the worst for everyone. I think we learned that, right?
Yeah, Discord for calls is also maybe not a habit. It's more about chatting and exchanging by messages, or then probably for video games, but maybe not for a community call like we have at Kleros.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me it's the same. I don't know, but I've heard like I think that like for the part of the lawyer part of the community, they don't use Telegram that much. They are like more used to Zoom. So maybe we
Yeah,
can
actually, I don't know why, but that's correct. We barely.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do both.
Three a month on Telegram and one on Zoom, something like that. Maybe. I don't know.
Federico, may I ask one question regarding the research fellowship program? I was wondering, are there any fields of the research that you are especially looking for, to collaborate with researchers, or it could be like anything from, I don't know, IT to mathematicians to legal or whatever?
I mean, from the point of view of the qualifications of the participants, it doesn't matter. You can come from any field. Of course, the goal of the fellowship is that the research is somehow connected to what Kleros does. That's the point, is to expand the knowledge and awareness of Kleros into different aspects. So different people have in the past researched like how Kleros mixes with the traditional arbitration methods and the new convention. That was, for example, Dimitri. He's a lawyer from Russia, and he researched wrote a paper interpreting the new convention and how Kleros' specific approach to arbitration could be accepted or not in that framework. Luis is a PhD candidate at Stanford Law School, and he researched, he made a more sociological research of Kleros jurors and how they behave, and this resulted in a paper that was published into the Journal of Dispute Resolution of the Ohio State Journal, which is the official dispute resolution journal of the American Bar Association. So this is a really for this specific time, for this cohort, we did a little change in the program that we proposed a number of tracks that we consider specifically important that this because of the context, and then we are providing a small grant to people who are accepted into those tracks and that they also complete successfully the research program. It's a $1,000 grant, and this is for the fields of for the tracks of content moderation, for the track of crypto economics, for NFTs, for identity, and for governance. So those are like 5 key areas that we think are important, and that's why the grants. But if you feel like researching in some other area that is relevant to Kleros, that's perfectly fine, and you can still apply. And even if it's not in these particular fields, we interview you, and you can be accepted and still have, participate in the program as the rest of the fellows, and with all the support of the team, and we try to give you access to all of the team members we have, and to our ecosystem. We can make introductions to people that you need for your research. The only difference is that there is not a grant, but it's fine. I mean, you're not interested in that.
Yeah, actually, Federico, it's Jamila. We've been in contact, and I'm hoping to research my proposal from legal point of view at Parido. I was just wondering that since communicating with fellow colleagues, they're all doing their research in law. So, and I have one of my friends who is doing research in economics, and I just was wondering if he could also apply, because I think that something that would be interesting to him. So because to be fair, most people like I communicate with regarding decentralized justice, they all either lawyers or they do their research in humanitarian, I think the other girl is doing something in ethics. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, so I was wondering if economics and more of the that side of field is also to be considered as research. But thank you. Yeah.
I mean, if they are working on economics and law, it maybe can fit into the crypto economics track. I mean, William can explain a bit what this means and what type of research could be interesting for that specific track. So I will let William comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, we're always, happy to have more people thinking about sort of the economic models that underpin Kleros. We had some specific things we put down as suggested in the economics track. Maybe like modeling how automated strategies or something like AI could interact with Kleros. But I can't remember exactly what our proposed things were in that track. But there could be a variety of interesting sort of economic modeling questions that people could ask. So those proposals are welcome.
Yeah, and also something related to the current ongoing discussion between Nat and Schneider and Vitalik and William now, which is relevant to how crypto economic systems can resolve a number of situations. Well, that's also relevant if you have someone who wants to apply that context. That I think that would be relevant to the crypto economics track, maybe.
Thank you so much.
Good. Any other question, guys? Okay. Well, see you in the next week then. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
See you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.